Hi, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is another paid request for Ryan. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to as soon as I possibly can. And for those who send them, thank you. I do appreciate it. And this is for an episode, the first episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. So it's nice to see the first episode finally, because I've seen a couple of the movies. So it's nice to see how it started. So this came out in 1999, created by Steven Hillenburg, who I didn't realize the creator was a marine science educator. I guess it started because he wanted to do some educational comic book about marine life. I guess that wasn't published. He worked on Rocko's Modern Life, which I remember liking that show back in the day. One thing led to another. He was able to get the opportunity to make his own show. I guess Nickelodeon wanted something about SpongeBob at a school, and he's like, I don't want to do that, but then able to work his way around it. And then the show came out and obviously became a huge fucking hit. I think it's still on today. I think. Like, huge. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if it's still on, but it went on for a long time. And it's 20 minutes, but it's broken down to 3 smaller episodes. Help Wanted, Reef Blower, and Tea at the Treedome. It was fun. I mean, this stuff, it was fun. It was fast-paced. It was easy to watch. It was quirky enough. A little bit of that Ren and Stimpy flavor without as much of the raunch. And yeah, again, it was nice to see the kind of the startup of it. So you have the introduction of Bikini Bottom, Gary the pet snail who meows, which I thought was cute. The introduction of SpongeBob and him bench pressing, but he's bench pressing stuffed animals, and it's still tough for him. And we see him get the job at the Krusty Krab, and dealing with Mr. Krabs and Squidward and how he got the job. There's always known him as the guy who had the job. So I'm like, oh, well, they actually do establish how he got the job. Where those two are attacked by all these anchovies and they all want food. And SpongeBob, they made up this thing for him to get, but he actually did find it, this turbo spatula. And he does a good job and feeds them all. And he gets hired. Interesting that they used the song Having a Wonderful Time by Tiny Tim. That's a song I would not listen to on my own, but it works with this. It works with the animation and the energy and him doing all this stuff and feeding all these things and seeing all these anchovies eat this food and all this stuff. It fits with the chaotic energy. And he does the job. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Nice way to introduce SpongeBob and the job he's going to be working at, and even see his buddy Patrick. Like I say, it was interesting to see how things started. The second part is Reef Blower. This was interesting because there's no dialogue in this. It's literally just as simple as SpongeBob's outside of his home. There's sand. So he keeps blowing it, but he keeps being blown somewhere else. It's blowing in front of Squidward. Then he's got to blow it out and off of his face. But then the blower gets stuffed up and stuffed up and stopped up. So he got to fix it. He even takes the rubber, pulls all the way back, lets it go, and it explodes. And his place is fine, but it all gets on Squidward's property. Again, interesting that they had no dialogue in this, to be able to tell you a story just with visuals alone. So I thought that was interesting. You know, some funny gags a la Looney Tunes type of stuff. Remind me a little bit of Looney Tunes with some of the physical gags. And then Tea at the Treedome, we see the introduction of this squirrel named, what was her name? Sandy. Again, I got requested the movies, and the movies I didn't mind. They were fine. But yeah, it's nice to have a bit of context now on how it all started. So, okay, this is how they met. SpongeBob's trying to catch some jellyfish, sees a squirrel in a diving suit dealing with this clam. He wants to help, but eventually he gets caught up and she helps him. They bond because they know karate. He's like, what's that? Oh, it's a suit and an air helmet. Hey, you want to visit? Sure. But he doesn't know what air is. He even tries to ask Patrick what air is, and Patrick's like, oh, that's fancy talk. It's like you have your finger up, have it higher, your pinky finger up. But then when he goes in there, he realizes there's no water and he's drying out. And then Patrick later comes up, and then he starts drying out. And so a chunk of it is them trying to figure out. And again, some nice up-close animation that, does, like I said, reminds me of Ren and Stimpy, where you have those like extreme close-ups and like detail, kind of gross as they're getting like more and more dry. And SpongeBob's face is getting more and more wrinkles on his lips and face, and it get more and more hoarse. And you're thinking, well, just fucking say something. Just tell the truth. But you have to do it the hard way. And there's some bits that made me laugh. Like Patrick, his realization of what's going on. He's like, what kind of place is this? And them trying to escape. When Sandy comes out, sees that they turn to an actual, you know, sponge, like the actual things. And she's able to water them and they're fine. So she makes stuff for them, which is like a little bowl for water. And they can't drink tea, so she puts the tea droppers in them for them to suck it up and be fine. So again, it was nice to see the introduction of Sandy and how that came about. The animation, just see how far they would push him drying up. And him either trying to impress Sandy more and more, or the desperation to get more and more chaotic. And again, the fact that these are short makes it so that it doesn't feel too overlong. It doesn't feel too, you're looking at your watch. So the whole thing, I appreciate, the quirkiness of it. The characters definitely have a fun vibe. I didn't find anybody annoying. And I just see the appeal. I just see like people watch this, go, okay, let's see what this is. And the whole setup, the whole environment of being under the sea, just a nice different environment for a cartoon. Yeah, there are cartoons that have it, but just to have these different, and obviously you have a guy that knows a little bit about marine sea life, so that brings a little bit of the nice visual palette that you showcase. A little bit of details that maybe another person wouldn't have. So it was fun. It was fun to watch. I did like it overall. So, thank you once again to Ryan for the request. This was fun to see, fun to check out. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.